I remember September 2013 with that strange paradox of both familiarity and distance. None of us could have quite imagined the world into which we graduate. A stranger world, in many ways a world fraught with more peril, more conflict, more hate. Both here and abroad, long papered over divisions have re-emerged, once again threatening the always fragile hope for a United States that truly lives up to its name. And I start with all of this because as the world outside was becoming more challenging, us Section 7 folks were forever bonded inside the crucible of the evening program. They say that the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire, and there can be no hotter forge than 5 days a week of full-time work, followed by 2 hours of class, capped by a Friday evening with Professor Super learning the rule against perpetuities. And I'm sorry, Professor, I never quite figured it out. I do remember one late afternoon that first year where I, doing my best to enforce the boundaries that I'd drawn for myself at work, told my colleagues that I needed to leave a meeting that was going over time because I had to speed off to a certain contracts class that was a little less flexible about showing up a few minutes late. But my boss had grown frustrated with my 5 p.m. on the dot departures and made it clear that if I couldn't give more, then they'd find someone else. I cried on the way to class that day. Not tears of sorrow, I mean the kind of tears that stem from the helplessness of, I have to do this and I'm not sure that I can. But then I walked into class that day and I couldn't help but be inspired by you. Because as hard as it was for any one of us, any given day, someone else in this group had it just as bad or worse. This group, mothers and fathers of newborns, doctors, veterans, immigrants, people with side hustles, people who left an evening's worth of classes to head back to work. When I saw you all thrive, I knew that I could too. So yes, we are far stronger now than we were 4 years ago, and it's not just because we forgot the meaning of the phrase happy hour. It's because this forge has pushed us. It's stretched us. It's asked us to find new limits. It's asked us to lean on each other, whether it's study groups or for notes or a knowing nod in the hall outside of civil procedure. It has asked us to be better than we were, and every single one of us has answered the call to do so. So let us take this moment to be collectively proud. It takes a village to survive 4 years of the evening program. Only together were we strong enough to do so, reinforced by faith, by family, and friends. We've accomplished something not altogether too far from impossible. And I'd be remiss if I didn't turn to my wife, Audrey, and the rest of the friends and family who sustained us. Y'all have our deepest, most profound thanks. And I promise we won't always be like this. So we've made incredible sacrifices, personally, professionally, mentally, to get here. But as we graduate into this changed world, the temptation will be to believe that the hardest of our work is behind us. Were we only so lucky? People often quote the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King saying that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. But people often leave out the most critical part. King also said that change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability, but comes through continuous struggle. You see, the arc does not, it cannot bend passively, inevitably, towards a world where Black Lives Matter, where gender equality is taken for granted, where LGBTQ folks are free, where those fleeing persecution and injustice can find safety, The arc must be bent. It must be bent by attorneys and law firms who leverage their resources and training to take on the pro bono cases that no one else can take. It must be bent by government lawyers who uphold their oath to defend the Constitution, even at the risk of their jobs. It must be bent by public defenders who day in and day out seek the freedom and humanity of those society has deemed untouchable. It must be bent by nonprofit lawyers who embrace the long, thankless work of dismantling systems of inequality. We couldn't have known 4 years ago just how much the world would need us at our very best, not just as lawyers, but as human beings. And the good news is this: after spending an absolutely ungodly amount of time with y'all, I can say without a drop of doubt that you are the best of us. The kindness, the empathy, the curiosity, the intellectual fortitude, you are ready to lead, to restore the hope that this country can live up to its best ideals, to fulfill the words of Junot Diaz when he wrote last November that this is the joyous destiny of our people, to bury the arc of the moral universe so deep in justice that it will never be undone. The country is better with you today as JDs than it was yesterday. Let the sacrifices that we've made be in service of a tomorrow that we can be proud of. Let us celebrate and thank God that we have arrived at this moment, and then let us get back to work. Thank you.